everyone, welcome back to my next video here at HSCD Arms. My name is Blake. Today we're going to be doing a review over the Glock 21. It's in a 45 ACP. First of all, we'll do the weapons check to make sure the weapon is unloaded. As you can tell, the magazine is empty. Pull the slide back. Get a view of inside the slide. It is empty. There's nothing in there. So now that we know the weapon is safe, we'll get to the review. Alright, everybody that's been in the firearms community, especially handguns in a while, is very familiar with Glock. Glock came out with their 17 back in the early 80s. That was in a 9mm. They've now expanded. Something interesting with Glock is each caliber, each model number has nothing to do with caliber as per se as it was made. The 17 was the first to come out, and then later the 18 was the fully automatic Glock developed for the military. And then the 19 came out, which is a 9mm shorter version of the 17, but somehow they did away with the full auto feature. And the Glock 19 is used by the Israelis. And then the 20 came out, which is the 10mm, and then the 21 in the 45 ACP, and the 22 in the 40 Smith & Wesson, and so on and so forth. But each, the number of the Glock represents the model that it came out, 17 being the starting number. Back to the Glock 21 here in the 45 ACP that we're reviewing today. The Glock 21 is the biggest Glock biggest gun that Glock makes. They make the 21 slim frame SF. This is not the SF. This is the full size Glock 21. It is got your typical Glock features, very boxy, very slide, being very square all the way around, very square edges to it. It's got the standard Glock grip. This is not the Generation 4. This is the Generation 3. This standard back straps. Nothing unusual with those. Standard. It does not have the standard sights. I had put a True Glow front sight on here and a 4-dot back sight. We'll get the camera a little closer so you can see this. I'll give you a better look at the sights here. The True Glow front sight and the U-shaped, horseshoe-shaped rear sight in the white. It's just something I personally liked, so I went with it. I had also added skateboard tape. I'm not sure if you can tell here in the video, but probably audibly you can hear it versus the regular. There's nothing other than that too unusual. It has the Glock rail, the one rail in the front for a laser, flashlight, whatever the purpose you may be using. It is your ordinary feeling Glock, only slightly larger, being a 45 ACP. The magazine capacity is 13 rounds. I'm not sure if you're able to tell in the video here. Get in here a little closer. 13, which for a 45 ACP is very substantial. Commonly in 45 is the 1911, which is you're holding 7 to 8, unless you're getting extended magazines coming out of the bottom of the gun. A few other companies make larger capacity. Para makes a 16-round double stack 1911. FNP 45 is 14 rounds with a 15-round optional magazine. Smith & Wesson M&P was making a 10 rounds factory magazine, but a 14-round was available. But back to the Glock here. This is with the larger capacity magazine. You got to have a bigger grip because you got to fit all 13 of these 45 shells in the grip of the gun. So the frame itself is going to be a little larger, which for me isn't a big deal because I have larger hands. I have wide hands and fairly long fingers. I feel like it fits my hand very well. It fits in there snug. The other thing with the Glock is the bore axis, where the axis of the bore is. It actually is right down in here in the bottom, which for me, which when you come back to the back here, the beaver tail is right over the beaver tail, which is where I really like it, because when my the groove between my thumb and my index finger is right down there, it feels really good and snug in there, and I feel it helps me absorb recoil. I really like how the recoil feels in my hand being the low axis center. That's one of the few things I disliked about the Springfield XD, Glock, the biggest competitor to Glock, is I feel the bore axis is kind of high. I feel like the gun is sitting up too much in my hand, and it's just not comfortable for me to hold on to. It's not as bad as we would think when you're shooting the XD, but it's a feel thing. The Glock always has the very square trigger guard. It's just something Glock has always had. Some people really like it because when you put the laser on the front here, it sits up against the back of this and fits really snugly. That's kind of personal preference. It makes no difference in the function of the gun. Accuracy-wise, this Glock is very decent. It's a factory gun. There's nothing you're not gonna put the bullet through the same hole to 25 yards, but you can hit the target. You don't have a problem getting the sights on target. You don't have a problem handling the recoil and putting the sights back on the target. It handles very well. It's not it won't beat you up. It's not abusive by 45 means. I mean, you got to keep in mind you are shooting the 45 ACP. It's a very large semi-automatic handgun cartridge. The Glock does not have a safety. That is one of the bigger downsides to the Glock. There's no external safety. The safety being that little thing I think I can pick up here on the trigger. You pull down. That is the safety right there. Basically, you can't catch the trigger on something and the trigger be pulled. It has to be pulled by the finger. Other than that, the Glock, I can conceal carry this Glock. I have a hole inside the waistband holster that allows me to do it. It's not the most comfortable gun to conceal carry. There are many more comfortable guns to carry, but it serves the purpose if need be. The biggest disadvantage, obviously besides the size, is the full-size handgun. It's harder to conceal a full-size handgun. Other than that, the biggest disadvantage to the Glock as far as concealed carry is the boxiness and the width of the gun. It is a fairly wide gun, and underneath the shirt, this handle, even inside the waistband is only coming to this area right here, so you have this much showing. This wide boxiness is it's harder to conceal than, say, a full-size 1911. The grip doesn't quite fit to your body as well as a 1911 grip would. I can conceal a full-size 1911 style pistol better than I can this Glock. But for all the purposes, for home defense, for recreational shooting, this Glock is very affordable. I believe you can always find it under $700. In some cases, you can find it under $600. I believe it is. I would buy this gun again. I bought this used at a law enforcement sale. The law enforcement turned this into the retailers, and they had sold this commercially. I bought it used. I am not positive how many rounds they had through it. I've put a lot of rounds through it, and I've never had any problems. It handles all types of ammo really well. The slide is very, very solid. Comes back. Get it locked back here for you. Slide lock of an empty magazine. That's standard with Glock. It always locks open with the empty magazine. The slide release is a little tough, but it works, and that's the purpose. It wasn't meant to be crystal smooth. This is by no means a competition pistol, but it's a very, very decent standard factory gun. All right, that is all here at HSCD Arms. I am Blake. Until next time, see you then.